Alright, now I'm going to give you my review for the main storyline game of Far Cry 6. Alright, so what did I think of Far Cry 6? Especially as compared to Far Cry 5, because I played that previously and I have a lot of experience in Far Cry 5. It is a lot of the same. So let me first start off by saying the Far Cry series has a reputation for being a game that has a lot of similarity in all the Far Cry versions as you play through them. It's kind of, a lot of people would argue, the same thing over and over again. You have to climb a tower, climb a thing, enable a thing, open the fog of war, or get to a checkpoint, take over a checkpoint, take over a camp, take over a military base, take over these areas, and you'd work that, area by area on the map as you work through the main storyline. The same is true in Far Cry 6. That formula is the same. It's the same formula. That is no surprise, and really nobody should be surprised by that at this point in time. The question to you, Far Cry player, is that still entertaining to you? Are you still having fun doing that in this series of games? Personally, I do find that fun. I am having fun with that, and I kind of know what to expect, because you get into a Far Cry game and you know what to expect. You know you're gonna have to do that, and it's kind of like coming home. You know what to expect, you know what you're going to get. And so the fun isn't the fact that it's a repeating formula. The fun is, just doing it. Just finding different ways to do it. And getting to play with the new armor and new gear and new weapons. All the new things that might be available in that new version of Far Cry. Doing those things is what's fun. And I enjoyed that. So yes, there were a lot of checkpoints and military bases and things we had to take over. But I enjoyed that part of it. And you'll notice I took my time and went through and made videos where I did just that. I enjoyed that part of it. That was okay. Now, the part I didn't quite like is I thought that by taking over those places, and I wish they had changed this a little bit in the game, I wish that more of the people would help start taking over the area and the land a bit more and clearing out the enemies. Because even though I had taken over a checkpoint or a military base specifically, I would still walk through the roads or walk down the roads in the cities, or between the cities, between the places here, and there were still enemy convoys and a whole bunch of enemy patrols. And that dog is just going nuts over there to the right of me. Just going nuts. Look at him go. Look at him go. Yes, but anyway, there were still a lot of enemies roaming the land, and I was hoping that by taking over all the checkpoints and military bases, that would start clearing out more. That they would actually start removing those people from the streets, so that I could just walk around and I wouldn't get into big firefights with people. I was hoping it would clear out more. I think I saw more of that in Far Cry 5. I think Far Cry 5 did a better job of that. As you took over areas, the crazy cult people in Far Cry 5 would start clearing out more, and you wouldn't see them as much. And I wish they had done a little bit more of that here in Far Cry 6. So that was one of my complaints, but it's a small one. Just a small one. I just thought there would have been, I would have noticed more of the area being taken over by the friendlies. There was some of it, but I didn't think there was enough of it. So, a little complaint, but not huge, right? I love the loot. I love looting. You guys know by now, watching my videos, that I like to spend the time looting in games. I look for all the liberated crates. I look for all the caches. Now, the F&D caches did not end up helping me, because there's these weapons in the game called resolver weapons, but I didn't use any of them. I did try them out. Now let me tell you, I did check out all the resolver weapons off camera. You didn't see that. I didn't show that while I was playing. I did get them myself, and I fired them off. I put them on a build and I fired them all off so that I could see what each resolver weapon did. I didn't like any of them. I'm sorry. I didn't get into the resolver weapons. Not my thing in this game. But I know that they were there, and I did do the Wands Dealers mission so that I could get all of them and open all that up. But I didn't use them, so the F&D caches were pointless to me. I really did not need to spend my time doing that in hindsight. But what was important were the liberated crates, number one, for gear and armor, and number two, the contraband caches that were around. Those had unique weapons, and I should have looked for those much earlier in the game. So if I were to replay this game, I would definitely focus on liberated crates and contraband. Those are the two things that I would absolutely go for in the game. And otherwise, though, yeah, I did make videos where I did just do looting and stuff like that because, again, trying to extend the game and make it feel longer. If I blew through the main missions, this game would be over very shortly. I also spent my time doing interceptions and all those other kind of small things. Oh, and the treasure hunts. Treasure hunts were puzzles. They were basically puzzles, do this, do that, and they were all unique. None of them were repetitive. There were maybe a few climbing ones that were repetitive, where it felt like I was having to use my grapple or climb to do stuff kind of repetitively, but most of them were unique treasure hunts. So that was very fun, having those puzzles, and then the treasure hunts gave good rewards also. Probably one of the best things I did, though, was the Alua Caves, which gave me Aluso, which is the best amigo in the game. Right here, Aluso. Got her a little bit earlier on, which was great. I was able to have her for a pretty big run of the game, so I recommend doing that Alua Cave stuff because best companion right here, absolutely. And so yeah, I spent a lot of time doing that stuff. Again, I look at all that stuff as like side quest stuff, and it's necessary or else you would blow through the game in no time. And one of my complaints starting in this game was that I felt like there weren't enough missions, there weren't enough things for me to do. I felt that at the beginning. I remember saying that when I started the game. It felt small to me, like there just weren't that many missions or operations. But no, there were actually quite a bit. I didn't realize how many there were because once I got away from our starting island, which was down here, and I got into these areas, especially right here where you start out in Madrugada, it really opened up. The game opened up, and the map is pretty big, and there is a lot out there. You just have to go find it, and you just have to keep pushing forward. And if you feel like you're running out of missions to do or operations, go do that extra stuff I was talking about, and that'll help you find more things and do more things. Spend the time doing that. And if I were to replay this game again, knowing what I know now in hindsight, I think some things that I would focus on is obviously getting more liberated crates and contraband, and probably gearing up a little bit better earlier on. I stuck with a certain gear type for a long time, and I probably should have replaced that or used my pesos that I was getting to buy better that impact armor. I probably would have gone with the impact armor, and I would have gone with the Mark II, get the better impact armor, and I probably would have put that on a lot earlier in the game. But then also I would use the this thing here, the Supremo. I would have used this a lot more in the game, actually, if I do another playthrough, if I ever did another playthrough. I would use my Supremo more. Now, I like the one you start out with, the rockets. I always forgot to use it, especially when there were tanks or things like that. I could have used it more. I forgot. I honestly just forgot to use it. And if I replayed the game, that's one thing I would do more, is to use my Supremo, and I would also get this Supremo, the Inferno one, because it is awesome. And I also would get the turret earlier on. I did not get to use the turret a lot in this game. I apologize. I only found it toward the end of the game. I only realized that you could put it on as a mod on the Supremo later in the game. So I really, in the last several videos, really didn't get to use it. But that's something I would use a lot earlier in the game if I replayed it. Also the pipe bomb and maybe the C4 as well. I would use those gadgets a lot more in another playthrough. So that's one thing. I would also use my ride more. Thank you to the comments I did not use my ride enough. The ride has a mounted gun on top that I could have used. Also, you can call it anywhere you are in the game, and I always forgot to do that. And you can refill your ammo with your ride. I just forgot. I mean, I have no excuses there. I just forgot that I could call my ride. Okay, so I guess in another playthrough I'd put a little note that says use the Supremo and call your ride. I would do those two things more in another playthrough, for sure. But again, this is my first playthrough, so I'm just learning, and maybe I'll use them more in the DLC content. Right, that's my opportunity to use those things a little bit more. And let's see, also, let's talk about the graphics a little. So, Far Cry 6 is a simple game in terms of graphics. It is not like a Cyberpunk 2077, and it's not meant to be. It is an older game engine, for sure. However, they did implement, and this was several years ago, remember the game came out, they did implement some light ray tracing effects. So you will remember that in the game, I have two big things enabled for this entire playthrough, which was very important. I, number one, have the HD textures turned on. So I have that HD texture pack. That gives you better texture quality, extremely important in games. Textures is still number one, in my opinion, for a game's image quality. Textures, number one. So I had that on. But I also had the ray tracing effects turned on, DXR reflections and DXR shadows. Now, these are what I call light ray tracing effects, because this game does not utilize a heavy amount of ray tracing. It's not like Cyberpunk where it just throws rays everywhere. It is a light implementation. But because of that, it runs really good. It runs very fast. So that is a benefit and a plus, is that yes, it has ray tracing effects, but they're not a huge burden on performance. So you're able to have them enabled and get a little bit better quality. You get better reflections and, important to me, better shadows, because I think ray tracing does a really good job when it comes to improving image quality, when it comes to things like shadows and ambient occlusion. When you can have ray tracing that gives you really good shadows and really good ambient occlusion, a game will just look better. Reflections aside, just those two things alone, in my opinion, is a huge bonus. Now, this game does not do ray traced ambient occlusion, but it does do ray traced shadows. So the shadows were really nice in the game. And then it does have a light implementation of a ray traced reflections, which does help in a lot of situations. I especially noticed it when it's raining, or when there's a thunderstorm, when there's a lot of wet surfaces, or you're in the water. Things like that look really good with those reflections in this game. So again, it's not a heavy implementation of ray tracing. It's light, it runs fast, but I had it turned on and was able to enjoy the game, and that's good. I look forward to the next game, hopefully continuing and pushing that ray tracing forward and doing a little bit more with it. Also, I hope they continue to do HD textures for these type of games. I think they did it in Far Cry 5 as well. I hope they keep doing that. I think textures are still the number one thing for image quality, and I want to see that continue to push forward. This game also has a day-night cycle, which I loved. It's sometimes it's a bright day like it is now. Sometimes it's nighttime. Sometimes it's dusk. Sometimes it's dawn. And you have these different environments and atmospheres that are created, and I think that looked really good. I love games that have day-night cycles. Just makes it feel more lived in and more dynamic and more like a real world. So kudos to the artists and the graphics team for putting all that together. I hope to see the next game continue to push that forward. We will see. Now let's talk about Yara, because Yara is a fictional place, right? Far Cry 6 takes place in a fictional Yara area. I like the allegory, obviously. This is a South American kind of a feel. It's got a Latin vibe to it. I love that. It's different because Far Cry 5 took place in the Midwest in America. So this is a much different feel, and I like. So a lot of people do complain about that similar formula I was talking about in Far Cry games, where like you have that similar playstyle formula. But you can't you can't say that the game is not diverse in its locations. Every game takes place in a different location. This game, a South American Latin environment. In the last game, a Midwestern American environment. In previous games, you had one in the mountains. It was it the Himalaya? I don't know if it was the Himalayas. It was some mountainous area out there, right, in the east. Then you had other games that took place. There's one that was in the jungle, I think. Could be wrong, but maybe so. It's hard to remember actually going back. But yeah, I think so. Actually, I think the first Far Cry was in a tropical island, actually. So anyway, each Far Cry game has a different environment and takes you to a different location on Earth. So it's diverse in that way, and you have to give it credit for that because it is pretty cool, right? This one definitely gave you this Latin inspired area, and it was really cool. They took this fake Yara, but built a lore and a storyline behind it. And I give credit to the producers and the writers who put all that lore together, and I tried to assimilate that as much as I could. That was just really cool, and I like what they were able to do with that, right? And it's a little bit safer too, because you can say it's an allegory to other things in the real world, but not directly those things, so you can kind of get away with some of those storylines, right? So I think that's a good way to handle that. As for the storyline itself, it's a pretty straightforward storyline. I wouldn't say that it's a storyline that is groundbreaking. There's a dictator. You are a freedom fighter. You have to take out the dictator. That's a common trope. That's not a new thing at all. So yes, it's a formulaic storyline, but it's how you get there that matters. Also, along the way, you meet a lot of his henchmen and a lot of his family, and you have to take out the leaders and all that. Then you get to the end, and that to me was a twist. Didn't expect him to take out his son, kill his son, and then kill himself. That was a twist. I thought I would have the choice to either take him out or to let him live and die with his cancer. I didn't think that would be the way it ended, so it was a twist, and it was a surprise to me how that ended, so kudos to that. The ending was not as expected. So there was a surprise ending. That was good. I'm glad they gave you that little twist there. That makes it not as formulaic. But yeah, it does leave open the question now, what becomes of Yara, and I don't know if we'll ever know. I don't know if we'll ever know. I don't know if they'll have elections. I don't know if anyone will take over. Obviously, there was a cutscene at the end, or a audio cutscene, where Juan is still dealing with somebody, but who? Don't know. So they could carry on the story, but I don't know. So overall, I enjoyed the game, and I had a lot of fun playing it. And boy, I hope you all enjoyed my playthrough as well. Look, I never claim to be the best gamer in the world. I am not. I play games for entertainment. That's it. I want to enjoy the storyline. I want to get involved and immersed in the game, and I want to shoot some people in the head with some headshots. That's it. I'm just having fun. Say what you will about the Far Cry series. I enjoyed Far Cry 6. I enjoy Far Cry 5. And I will enjoy the DLCs. And, let's push forward, I think I will probably enjoy Far Cry 7. That's right. They have been talking about, right now, some chatter of Far Cry 7. I don't know when it will come out. I guess 2024? Far Cry 7. I think there might be a trailer. I'm not sure. I will have to look it up. I don't know what to expect. I can tell you this much. I will play Far Cry 7 on this channel. So therefore, make sure to subscribe if you would like to see my playthrough of Far Cry 7. When that game comes out, I'll hit it up. And I'll be all done with Far Cry 6 by then. So that will be perfect, right? I'll have experience now with Far Cry 5, 6, and then 7 back to back to back. And I have played Far Cry 1. I've played the first Far Cry when it came out decades ago. And I also replayed it on this channel, but I don't have those videos up at the moment. I will probably re-upload those videos at some point of my Far Cry 1 playthrough. But I have played Far Cry 1, and I have played Far Cry 2, but I have not done recordings of it. Again, I played Far Cry 2 when the game came out. So I played Far Cry 1 all the way through, I've played Far Cry 2 all the way through, I played Far Cry 5 all the way through, and Far Cry 6 all the way through, but I have not played Far Cry 3 or 4 all the way through. I've played part of them, but I haven't played them all the way through. So that could be something in the future I go back and do also on this channel. I could do Far Cry 3 and 4 as well, and I might do that. So again, subscribe if you would like to see that. I may play those, but definitely Far Cry 7, I'll hit that up when it comes out. Alright, I think this has been long enough. That is my overall complete review of Far Cry 6. Again, next video will be the last video for this series. That's the free DLC, All the Blood, but then I will do the other DLCs separately as standalone videos. And that will be all of my Far Cry 6 playthrough stuff. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this journey with me into Far Cry 6. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this game, if you've played it, what you thought of it, and if you have not played it but watched my playthrough, what you think of it, and if you think you would be playing it after watching this playthrough. Again, thank you to all the game developers for this game, all the great work they put in. Kudos to them, and thank everybody for watching my videos. I appreciate it. Without you, I wouldn't be making these videos. I make these videos for you all because I just want to show off awesome games and have fun. So thank you, everybody. Have a blessed day, and stay tuned for the next one.